Hello and welcome back to 64 Squares Official. Today we are revisiting one of the most iconic games in modern chess history. The year is 2013, the stage is Chennai. The defending world champion Viswanathan Anand faces the young Norwegian prodigy who would soon redefine the game, Magnus Carlsen. Carlsen entered the match leading by 3 points. Anand needed a win to keep his world championship hopes alive. Instead, Magnus produced one of the cleanest positional and tactical victories ever seen in a world championship. So let's break down every move and discover how the future world champion finished the match in brilliant style. Viswanathan Anand had already become a legend, world champion since 2007. Anand was renowned for his lightning fast calculation, universal style and incredible opening preparation. He had defended the world championship against players like Kramnik, Topalov and Gelfand. By 2013, he stood at the summit of chess, but a new challenger has arrived. Magnus Carlsen was not just another challenger, he was the highest rated player in history at the time. Unlike many elite players, Carlsen rarely depended on opening preparation. Instead, he squeezed microscopic advantages until opponents collapsed under relentless pressure. This world championship marked the beginning of a new era. So opening with white, Anand plays a d4. Anand begins with the queen's pawn, a flexible choice. Now knight to f6. Magnus responds naturally. Now c4 and e6. Heading towards the Nimzo-Indian defense, one of the richest openings in chess. Knight to c3 and bishop to b4. The famous Nimzo-Indian. Black immediately pins the knight. Now f3. Now it turns to Kamok variation, an aggressive variation. Instead of allowing doubled pawns, Anand supports e4 and plants a powerful center. The downside is that development slows considerably. Now d5. Carlsen immediately strikes the center. Excellent opening strategy. Now a3, attacking the bishop. Now bishop takes c3 with a check. Magnus gives up the bishop pair, but he damages white's pawn structure. Now b takes c3, white gains 2 bishops, black gains long-term structural targets. Already both players have accepted different strategic plans. Now c5, perfect timing. Magnus challenges white's center before it grows stronger. Now c takes d5 and e takes d5. The isolated pawn never appears. Instead, black develops an active pawn center. Now e3 and c4. An extremely important move. Rather than exchanging tension, Carlsen locks the queenside. This limits white's bishop while preparing queenside expansion. A very Carlsen-like decision. Now knight to e2, preparing kingside development. Now knight to c6, natural development. g4, Anand starts the kingside pawn storm. He wants attacking chances. Remember, he's behind in the match. A draw is not enough. Now castling, Magnus castle on the kingside. Now bishop to g2. Now knight to a5, excellent maneuver. The knight heads towards b3. Instead of reacting, Carlsen improves his pieces. Now Anand goes for kingside castling and knight to b3, exactly as planned. The knight lands on an outstanding square. It attacks the rook on a1 and bishop on c1 simultaneously. Now rook to a2, force move. White must protect the rook. Already Anand's rook becomes passive. A small positional victory for black. Now b5, queenside expansion begins. Magnus is not attacking the king, he is attacking the position. Now knight to g3, a5, pawn marches forward, black gains more space. Now g5, finally Anand begins his assault. The knight is challenged. Now knight goes to e8, retreating calmly, no weakness is created. Now e4, white finally establishes the center, but Carlsen has already prepared the perfect response. Knight takes c1, excellent exchange. Magnus eliminates the bishop pair before white can use it. Now queen takes c1, white recaptures. Now rook to a6, a brilliant rook left. The rook can defend, attack or swing across the 6th rank. Typical elite level flexibility. e5, white gains space, but space without activity often becomes overextended. Now knight to c7, repositioning. The knight prepares b5 or e6. Now f4, Anand commits fully to a kingside attack. And p4, Magnus strikes first. Notice something remarkable. While white attacked the king, black attacks where he's stronger, the queenside. Textbook example of playing on the correct side of the board. Now a takes b4. This is a force move. And a takes b4, opening more files. Rook takes a6, white exchanges. Now knight takes a6. The knight becomes wonderfully centralized. Black's pieces improve with every exchange. Now f5, Anand continues attacking, but he's already too slow. Now b3, an absolutely brilliant move. Instead of defending, Magnus creates an unstoppable pass pawn. This pawn becomes the true hero of the game. Now queen to f4. White increases pressure. Now knight goes to c7, improving another piece. Notice Carlsen never rushes. Every move improves coordination. Now f6. White pushes, trying to rip open black's king. Now g6. Cold-blooded defense. The king side remains completely secure. Now queen to h4. Preparing for queen to h6. Threatening mate ideas. Now knight to e8, supporting the g7 square. Magnus calmly blocks everything. The knight returns as a perfect defender. Now queen to h6. White desperately continues, but it's already too late. Now b2. The pawn advances. The pass pawn reaches the second rank, one step away from promotion. Now white faces two threats simultaneously, attack or stop promotion. He cannot do both. Now rook to f4, trying one final attack. b1 and b1 becomes queen. Beautiful. The pawn queens with check. The attack instantly disappears. Material advantage becomes overwhelming. Now knight f1, trying to survive. Now queen to e1, a stunning final move. The queen invades decisively. White is completely lost. There are unstoppable mating threats. Anand resigns. Magnus Carlsen becomes only one step away from securing his first world championship. Now let's see why Anand resigned in this position. After queen e1, white cannot stop a queen e3 check or a devastating mating ideas against the exposed king. Black has an extra queen, complete control of the initiative, and white's kingside attack has completely vanished. There is no perpetual check, no counterplay, or no practical defense, making resignation the only realistic choice. Now let's take a look at the key moments of the game. Here the move c4. This is locking the queen side before white could activate the bishops. And knight to a5, beginning the brilliant knight journey to b3. And rook to a6 on move 17, a flexible rook lift demonstrating elite positional understanding. And on move 19, b4, launching the decisive queenside attack at exactly the right moment. And on move 22, b3, creating the unstoppable pass pawn that decided the game. And on move 27, b1 queen check, one of the most satisfying pawn promotions ever seen in a world championship. Now let's see what Anand missed. On move 10, g4, this looks ambitious. It delayed a development and committed white to an all or nothing kingside attack. And on move 19, f4, continuing the attack instead of addressing black's queenside counterplay allowed Carlsen's pawn majority to become overwhelming. And on move 22, f5, another attacking move that ignored the dangerous passed b-pawn. Once black played b3, white's attack no longer had enough time. Now let's see why Carlsen's play was brilliant. Magnus never panicked in the face of Anand's kingside attack. Instead of defending passively, he trusted his position, improved every piece, expanded on the queen side, and created an unstoppable pass pawn. This game is a masterclass in choosing the correct plan rather than reacting to the opponent's threats. Now let's take a look at the lessons from this game. When your opponent attacks on one side of the board, counterattack where you're stronger. Pass pawns often become stronger than direct attacks, and don't launch a pawn storm unless your pieces are fully developed. Piece activity is more important than grabbing material. The best defense is sometimes active counterplay, not passive protection. Magnus teaches us that patience and precise timing can neutralize even the most dangerous attacks. This game was not won by spectacular sacrifices, it was won by superior planning, impeccable timing, and flawless positional understanding. Magnus Carlsen showed why he was destined to become world champion, turning Anand's aggressive ambitions into a lesson in strategic dominance. If you enjoyed this move-by-move analysis, don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe to 64 Squares Official, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another legendary chess battle. Until next time, keep calculating, keep learning, and remember, the strongest move is not always the flashiest one. It's the one your opponent never saw coming. So that's it. See you next time.